Today I'm testing a thermal printer for transferring a design onto a pumpkin. I'm carving one of my beginner stencils, which you can get from pumpkinfreak.co.uk, and I'm planning on a very quick carve using just one tool. But first, let's take a look at this thermal printer. In the box you have a printer, a bag, instructions and a couple of wires. These are primarily used for tattoo transfers, and I'm kind of curious how it's going to work on a pumpkin. This is a Phomemo printer which I picked up off Amazon for about £120, but there's loads of different ones that on there. I went for a fairly cheap one just to try this out. It comes with 10 sheets of thermal transfer paper, which has this dark shiny page sandwiched between a yellow and a white bit of paper, with this loose bit of paper in the middle. Now this one is battery powered, so I'm going to charge it up a little before I start using it. I've also got this stick of stencil medium, which I bought separately, but this is basically just a stick of deodorant. The first thing I need to do is download the app and connect it to the printer, which is very straightforward. I've uploaded the stencil design into the app. The app is very intuitive and easy to use. It allows you to play around with the size of the design very easily. The instructions say to load the paper into the printer, but it's not immediately obvious which way around the paper should go, so I just take a guess for the first try. I press print and the paper starts to feed through, but something's not quite right. The design hasn't printed properly, so I flip the paper over and try on the other side. But the same happens again. I try multiple times. On some goes the paper feeds through, or weirdly. It's very frustrating, but I keep trying and really nothing seems to be working as it should. After a while I give up and decide to take to YouTube to watch some videos, and after several videos I eventually discover that I'm loading the paper completely wrong. I need to remove the loose centre paper and fold out and feed through the yellow page first, so that the blue heat paper is face down in direct contact with the heating elements on the printer. I try again and this time it works perfectly. There's no mention anywhere on the printed instructions or on the app instructions that this is what you're supposed to do. All it says is to load the paper the correct way up. I mean, if you haven't done this before, how the hell are you supposed to know that this is what you're supposed to do? I'm not wanting to waste a pumpkin, so I'm testing this on the other side of a pumpkin I've just carved a logo on for a video I'm making for a customer. I'm going to cut out the design, cut around all these spiky parts, just to minimise the amount of folds that I need to make, which will hopefully reduce the movement as I try and fold and press the stencil flat to the pumpkin. Next, I'm going to apply some of the stencil medium to where I want the design. I'm going to give it a little wipe to remove any excess. I'll gently press the stencil onto the pumpkin, being super careful not to move the stencil and smudge the transfer. Once I'm happy I've pressed every part, I'll gently peel off the stencil. There's a few smudges and a couple of missing parts, but overall I'm very happy with this. To begin with, this stuff can smudge fairly easily, but once it's dry it's actually really hard to rub off, which is great. I think with some practice this could be a good way to get a stencil onto a pumpkin, and I'll definitely be trying this again. For the carve I'm simply going to use this lino cutter which I picked up off Amazon for just a few pounds, and I'm going to shave off all the inked areas. Now I really want to see if I can print bigger designs over multiple pages. I work a lot on bigger pumpkins and generally print out my stencils in an A3 size. So for this to work for me, I need to see if that's possible. But for A4 sizes on smaller pumpkins, I think this would work really well. If I were to do this again, I would definitely position the stencil on the pumpkin and pre-fold the stencil to the shape of the pumpkin before I apply the medium. This would make the final transfer press of the stencil on the pumpkin much easier, as the folds would already be in place. But I'll definitely be doing a follow-up video once I've had a good play with this method. Now this design might look complicated, but it's actually really quick and easy to carve with this tool. From the first cut, this one took me around 20 minutes to carve. Now of course you could spend longer and give it a bit more attention, but for a quick 20-minute carve, I'm really happy with this one. Let me know what you think below, and I'll see you next time.